Thank you very much indeed for inviting me to speak. I will just give you a gentle caveat at the beginning here that I'm joining you here on a personal basis, and that my opinions and thoughts that I express here are my own, and not necessarily, although we're quite closely aligned, my employers. But you're asking me how before we started, how I got involved in the United Nations. My career has been quite lengthy. But not necessarily in the United Nations family. Although I've been
yes, I know you've been in the performing arts before. You
indeed, absolutely, yes. So I started off at university and originally studying French and social anthropology. But I quickly got besotted with performing arts and started directing productions there. And then I went on to direct productions at the Edinburgh Fringe Festivals and also other festivals around the world. In Canada, we crossed the whole of Canada with different productions and won a number of awards and got about 10 years of artistic theatre experience in that. And in fact, my sort of culmination of my career in the theatre was directing, being resident director of the Irish and Scottish premieres of Les Miserables, the world's longest running musical.
Yes, I saw that. That's so fantastic. Because you studied French as well.
Exactly. Yes. So, well, of course. So, Les Miserables was not alien to me, but yes, but as a musical theatre was quite my passion, and I lived that passion for a number of years, both also as a performer as well as a director. But I enjoyed more directing, and then from there I went on to producing television. And I started being asked to produce documentaries. I produced a documentary called The Changing World for the Geographical magazine, and also for Worldwide Television News, which then became Associated Press Television News. And then I started doing a number of documentary series for them.
Actually, you produce quite a lot of information about the work of the organization. You produce a number of conferences, and now, of course, you were one of the first agencies to quickly adapt to the online world. You have the AI for Good that's ongoing throughout the year. There's the World Summit in the Information Society that's also was spread out over several months. Your officers are very engaged on being present. So what has changed for you in this last year? Has it increased the number of productions you have to do? Or tell us a little bit what the production system is like right now.
Well, I'm as you know, I'm in charge of audiovisual production at ITU. I'm responsible for all the videos, the podcasts, the photographs that we produce, etc. Our physical production line has changed, of course, somewhat with regards to the health crisis. I think that and as have our meetings as well, that we've become much more virtual. We've become, in terms of video production, we've become a lot more reliant on great stock video libraries that are out there. And we've also, of course, have been looking at the changes that have taken place with regards to people's attention spans, with regards to the way that people are consuming the content that is widely available online. Of course, we're one of a number of agencies that are promoting our messages, our mandate.
Right. I mean, we could do that before, but before I think there weren't many people who were familiar with the idea or thinking, jump on a Skype interview or a Zoom interview. And now it's super easy to get people, okay, sure, I'll make 10 minutes to speak with you. So that has been.
Absolutely. I quite agree. And a little interesting story there. I mean, just my early career, I was doing I had my own television production company, and I was doing a pitch, and it was for the National Health Service in the UK, and I'd done a number of health videos, etc. And I said to them, because at the time I was in transition, I was about to move to Australia, and I said, look, I'll film this for you here in London, but I'll edit this in Australia, in Sydney. And that was really something which they couldn't cope with. They were just like, but how would we possibly communicate? You know, and for me, I was used to working all different hours, etc. And as I say, when you're running your own company, you tend to be very, very flexible. So I would take calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, or we do production meetings and that kind of thing. But for them, it was very, very difficult. Nowadays, you asked me how things have changed. You know, we are employing people, we're employing outside production companies absolutely anywhere in the world. It really makes no difference. They don't have to be based, within a bus ride or a walk away from our offices. They don't have to come in. I rarely ever see anybody, obviously, face to face nowadays. And certainly for the last year, that's been the case. And I think, as I say, the work flexibility, as you mentioned it, but also, as I say, production flexibility as well. And so we are producing has not diminished. I was talking there the other day to a colleague, and we were thinking about how we're going to change the formats that we're doing though now, because
it has increased actually too, no? The number of videos, because I've seen the AI for Good has a program. I mean, most of the conferences now have also accompanying video, or you use the material from the conference to edit and make videos to stay online afterwards, I imagine.
Probably tenfold, I would say, the amount of production that is being done. It's not all being done by me, thank goodness, or I would never ever sleep. I normally take advantage of a Sunday to sleep, but sometimes that's not possible. But in principle, as I say, I think it's a situation where more than ever, people are absorbing the content. They're viewing it on demand. They may be able to join us when they couldn't join us before, so we may have thousands and thousands of participants that couldn't have physically joined us in Geneva for a meeting, etc., etc. So, as I say, I think these will definitely stay. But we've also started expanding into podcasts. We've started expanding into a lot more audio podcasts. I would say.
Yes, it seems like audio is like one of the preferred ways of people, because you can be doing things around, right? You can be working and listening, whereas a video you may have to stop to watch. Exactly. But a podcast, people are very much, indeed, even if there is an explosion of offer of content out there in podcasts, I think people are still very much into listening to. But video has become like a must-have, right? No organization cannot not have video content, and good quality video content, right?
Exactly. And I would argue, you mentioned that people are prepared to listen to long podcasts, or to listen to podcasts at length because they can be doing other things. But I would argue that people are viewing. Their viewing time has definitely increased as well. And I think that maybe now is the time to be thinking about doing some longer form videos, whereas, we've been concentrating all of our energies now on short form videos. Everything's 2.5 minutes, something like that. Maybe because people are binge watching television series, they're not just watching one episode, they're watching 5 or 6 at a time. They have a lot more, if we can actually engage them, if we can actually make them interested in something that we've got to say, then they may very well watch much longer products. So we're considering, as I say, that's a possibility, that I've been looked at and mulling over, looking at longer form videos as opposed to the short, sharp ones that we're doing. Our podcasts, of course, as I say, they've also increased substantially as well, as have, of course, our virtual meetings. Our virtual meetings are accessible to many, many more people than they were ever before.
It's a total necessity now to have good video and good podcasts. And you've been doing a brilliant job, because I've watched several of your productions. And of course, you have a wonderful experts too to draw on, So the interviews, I think that's something that people like to listen and find out what this person has to say about the subject, because they are immersed in it, right? In an organization that has really the capillarity to go all over the globe. Right now, you are focusing a lot on connectivity in Africa, for instance, through programs such as the Giga Connect in partnership with UNICEF. So there are so many wonderful things too that can be done together with the offices, the regional offices. Do you work with the regional offices in Asia, Africa, and Latin America much these days?
Yes, we do. We very much, of course, every time that we were traveling to those regions. They would be our key focal points and our conveners for all of the productions that we do and will do in the future. I think it's been obviously, in principle, as I say, we've been traveling a lot less now. We're also starting to do their own sort of micro productions too, and feeding into our production line. So we couldn't do anything that wasn't on a global basis. A lot of the videos that we're producing produced in six official UN languages. The podcasts tend to be in English, although we're looking at possibilities, as I say again, would be good to be able to expand that too.
You see also that people are more willing to create the opportunity to have camera, good lighting in their own offices so they can respond to interviews. I would think that there is
absolutely.
At least I've been advising colleagues, you should now think of really, having the right background, the right lighting, a good camera. It all makes a difference in the quality, because nowadays, finally, this is how you present yourself. You're not going to be meeting face to face for a while for some, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've been pushing quite heavily here is mobile journalism, is using iPhones.
Oh, yes. Tell us about that, because you've been very involved into this concept of mobile journalism. Tell us more.
Well, I started getting involved several years ago, actually. I went to a conference on mobile journalism, MojoCon, and then it became Mojo Fest. Mojo being mobile journalism, and I was surrounded by many Mojo evangelists, so to speak, who would come up on the stage and present their perspectives of it, and I could see that something. I'd be used to working with very big cameras, with large studios, with very big setups, etc. Here, we've got a very small webcam here. I've got a light here, which is giving me a little bit of extra lighting on my face here, but there's very little else going on here. The microphone, in fact, that I'm using is, I could be using a tie clip mic, but which, I do for podcasts and that kind of thing, but I'm using the one on my laptop here. It's things have become much more accessible, much simpler, but that doesn't mean that the quality needs to go down. And I think that you're quite right in that. And we give guidance to all of our elected officials. We give guidance to all of our directors of the bureaus, regional bureaus, etc. In fact, anybody who's speaking, and we try and give them hints and tips of how best to present yourself on camera. Not to have the camera too low, too high, that kind of thing.
That's space.
Exactly, too much
centered.
Exactly.
Because it's like television, right? You think of broadcast television.
Exactly, absolutely. And so, you're now not only the interviewee, but you're also the camera person, you're also the sound person, you're also responsible for that, and any glitches or anything else that are going on, maybe apart from, things that you can't avoid, sirens or dogs barking or something like that, in principle, you should be able to mitigate for. And I think that that's very important. I think we're all becoming a lot wiser with that anyway. But for me, as I say, mobile journalism, being able to go out and capture things without all of the appendages that we would normally have. I've been practicing for quite some time personally. I'm much freer when I'm just literally going around with a small mobile phone and capturing things. And as I say, and I'll capture presidents, prime ministers, and everybody else with a. I'd much rather nowadays capture them with a small mobile phone, because I know that I can just weave in and out and be pretty much under the radar. And I've shown examples of that too, where people in the industry have managed to do that quite happily and quite easily. And you're not attracting so much attention anymore as if you're carrying a great big camera or a great big lens in front of you there. And I think